yes, I agree with you. I should do a sequel. I should do a follow-up to a video I recently made called Likely to Go Bald If You're Half Mexican, Half American, in which I reminded everyone of my theory, and that is if you have DNA in you that is of Asian descent, then you're less likely to go bald sooner in life. Because as we know, typically Asian men have less hair on their bodies, but they also are less likely to go bald. So as for me, according to my DNA test, I've got 21.6% of that Native American DNA from Mexico, from South America, wherever it all came from, Mayan, Aztec, because my maternal grandmother was a first-generation Mexican American. So I do believe, yes, if you've got that Mexican DNA, that mix there, odds are in your favor. In the same way, if you have one parent who's Asian and the other's white, compared to someone who's just European, let's say your mom is Chinese, okay, well, odds are in your favor. That's my theory. But what I didn't talk about in that video is, well, what's the rest of my DNA? So in addition to being 21.6% Native American or Mayan or Aztec, whatever you want to call it, that the people who lived in America for 10,000 years before Europe discovered America, right? The Europeans came over and discovered the people who'd been living there for 10,000 years. Don't you see how funny that is? That's so funny that we have Columbus Day. Look who I discovered! All these people here in this landmass, and there's just as many of them as there are where I came from in Europe, and they've been here for 10,000 years, but I discovered them, right? That's really funny and weird, right? Okay, with that being said, what's the rest of me, okay? Because is there anything else, is everything else in my DNA in favor of me balding soon, right? Sooner than later. So my answer to that is, according to my DNA test, I am also about a third Spanish, which they're European, right? About a third German, which definitely European. So most of my DNA is Caucasian, European. And then the rest sprinkled in there is Eastern European, like Polish apparently, and then Balkan, which is still like all kind of European, okay? So for the most part, according to my DNA test, I'm like 3/4 European and about nearly a quarter Native American, okay? But with DNA tests, what you'll find is, as more members of your family take DNA tests, you find more hints of the full picture. Because think about this. Can you think of a family in which there is a redhead, where everyone else in the family is not? Everyone else has brown hair, but then they have the one redhead, right? Because things skip generations, right? And so you can have certain DNA show up in you that didn't show up in your parents or your siblings. So the way it worked out was, I got more Spanish DNA and Native American DNA than my sister or even my mom, okay? But my mom and my sister got DNA that was Jewish. So apparently my great-grandfather, who came from Italy, who we thought was Italian, that was his nationality, but his DNA, apparently something like this, his mother was a Sephardic Jewish, like Spanish Jewish, and then his other parent was Middle Eastern, from Iran, Iraq, or Turkey, okay? So I've got that DNA. But even if you include that, even if we're talking about Middle Eastern, Jewish, they're still similar to European men in that they tend to be hairy with body hair, but they tend to be more likely to go bald before the age of 35 or be balding before the age of 35. So still, when you break it down, the odds of me going prematurely bald, losing my hair or most of my hair before 35, the odds were definitely in my favor. There was more of like a 75% chance, maybe greater, 78% chance, something like that, of me going bald before the age of 35. I had a 21.6% chance that I wouldn't, because most people of Asian descent, if they're completely Asian or completely Native American, which my Mexican grandma in theory would have been like 80%. She was from southern Mexico. Her family was from southern Mexico. And apparently there was less European DNA mixed in with that part of Mexico. That would make sense. Now, this is one of my hair loss theories. It's easy to say, Nick, I don't believe any of that. And then you shouldn't, because anything you believe about hair loss is true in your own mind. But with that being said, I think we can all agree that certain backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds, are more prone to going bald sooner than later, and others are not. Just in the same way, certain backgrounds are more likely to have a lot of body hair. So I think my situation seems to reflect my DNA. That I guess I need to consider myself lucky to still have this much hair at 37. And at the same time, I'm a very hairy guy. So I can see both sides of that. What if I had a brother, which I don't? What if he took his DNA test and he had less of the Native American but was mostly European? Because that was the situation with my sister. She got less of the Native American, but she got most of the European and some of the Jewish none of that showed up in mine. There was a little bit of Middle Eastern that showed up on my DNA test. So in theory, and this is where it really just gets fun, because I don't have a brother, but if I had a brother and he was my age, we could see how balding would work with him if he had more of the European DNA, whereas, and less of the Native American. That's where my theory, I can't know, but I do wonder. I guess here's the takeaway for you. In the comments section, will you let me know, if you've taken a DNA test, would you let me know the percentage of Asian DNA in contrast that you have to all the other DNA that is more likely to be balding before 35, which would be European, Middle Eastern, Jewish, or even like Indian from the country of India. If you can see how that's played out as far as any signs of you not going bald or you not having body hair or let me know. My other channel, Family Friendly Daddy Blog on YouTube, that's mainly what we talk about, but I thought I'd do a little bit of crossover and talk about this because I think it's very fascinating. I'm Nick Shell, head honcho of hair loss. All I care about is hair loss. I don't talk about anything else ever, ever, ever. So yeah, leave a comment right there.